Hello everyone, welcome to the most detailed skin retouching tutorial video on YouTube. This is going to be a video that you won't be going to be able to find anywhere, just on YouTube. So I want to show you guys each and every detail you should know about skin retouching, how to color grade your images. I'm going to be handling dodging and burning and skin sculpting, and also color grading, eye and teeth whitening, and how to match skin tones in just Photoshop. So this is going to be a whole pack of everything, and I just need you guys to give me your full attention and have that close attention, and you have to note down each and everything, because even a beginner is going to be able to understand each and everything we are going to be explaining in this very tutorial. And as you can see, I'm using a new version of Photoshop 2020. I hope you guys can see that. Then I want to show you guys how to, first of all, import your images into Photoshop. I want to show you guys each and every step from importing, retouching, and now how to best export your images so that they can be posted maybe on different websites or social media handles or platforms, so that they don't lose quality. So I want to show you guys each and everything in this very tutorial, and I'll be giving you guys the timestamps, so that you can follow along each and every topic about this very video or this very tutorial. So let's kick in and start learning in a bit. So I want first of all show you guys how to import your images into Photoshop. Remember, you can't retouch an image before importing it into Photoshop. So I want first of all show you guys how to import an image into Photoshop, and this is going to be like for those who shoot in RAW, first of all, because I want first of all show you guys how to color grade your images or process your raw files so they look like those people who shoot in JPEG. You're going to be able to get back those beautiful, nice and vibrant colors in your images. So let's kick in and we start learning about that. And if at all you shoot in JPEG, you shouldn't worry, we are just going to find you a step ahead. So for those people who shoot in RAW, this is our maybe setback, but you're going to be learning each and everything. And if at all you also shoot in JPEG, you can also switch and learn how to process, and you'll enjoy how to shoot and process raw images, and you'll enjoy this tutorial basically. So first of all, in order to import, just come right here to open. So when you click open, and if at all you have new Photoshop versions, I'm going to cancel this. If at all you have new Photoshop older Photoshop versions, you can simply come to file, then come right here to open, and you look for wherever your image is going to be located. So I'm just going to come and click open. Then since the image I want to do or to retouch for this very tutorial is on my desktop, I'm just going to select desktop. So if at all it opens this window for you, what you're going to do, you're going to come and look for a folder or maybe a storage device or location where your image or your images are. So for this tutorial, you're going to be retouching this very image. So I'll show you guys the details. I shoot in RAW and everything. I know you all know about that. So I'm just going to click open image. So when you click open image, for those that shoot RAW, it is automatically going to open for you the camera raw filter, if at all you have the plugin in your Photoshop. So this is the camera raw interface, and under this interface we have the camera raw version. I'm using 12.4, and the details about the image. This is the image name right here, and this is the camera I used to shoot the image. And the details I use, all the information about the camera settings. I shot this image at ISO 320th of a second, ISO 320, and I shot this image at 85mm, and I shot it at f5.6 and shutter speed at 500th of a second. So basically those are settings I used. So usually when you want to edit your images, all you'll need to know is in this basic panel right here. So in order to know all about that, usually if at all you shoot with Canon, you'll notice that Canon has those rich, nice and vibrant colors, especially if you shoot in maybe landscape. Yeah, it has those beautiful and nice colors. So we want to calibrate this image in order to get back those nice, beautiful, rich colors like those people that shoot in JPEG do have with their images. So first of all, you have to know the camera profile or picture profile you shoot in. So after noticing that, just come right here under profile, yeah, and choose that camera profile. So I'll go in for landscape like that. So when you click landscape, you'll have calibrated your image. And I'm sorry if at all these settings are in this. So I'm going to try to reset each and everything so that you guys can learn each and everything. So usually the images are going to be in Adobe Color. So let me try to reset each and everything so that you can see how my raw file was looking initially. So let me reset everything. So basically this is how my raw image was looking straight out of my camera. So basically what I did or what we would like to do in order to get those rich, nice and vibrant colors like those people that shoot in JPEG do have, we are going to reset each and everything. So usually you have to know your picture profile or your camera profile you always shoot in while you're taking your images. So different cameras have different camera profiles. So for my Canon 6D camera, I'm just going to come right down here and I'm going to choose the picture profile. So usually I shoot in landscape, so I'm just going to come and click landscape. And for those that have older versions of the camera raw filter, you'll find these options right under your camera calibration option, and you'll have that little camera icon right on top here. So you shouldn't be worried or look for it. So like I said, Canon usually has reds or too much magenta embedded in it, so we want to treat or reduce on that amount of reds in the image. You can see we have so many reds or the kind of magentas in the image, so we want to reduce on those magentas. And in order to reduce on the magentas, we are just going to remember the opposite of magenta is green, so we want to make this move towards the green side. So remember, if at all I'm moving towards the opposite of a given color, I'm applying the opposite color into the image. So I'm just going to move it like that towards the left hand side to around -8. Don't worry about if at all the image is looking really warm, we are going to handle that. So you're just going to come to the highlights and you're going to knock down the highlights to around -84, and the whites, because we want to regain as much detail in the model's skin as possible. So you're just going to go with around -37. So let's pump up the contrast to around 4. I think that is fine. So let's pump the blacks in a little bit to around 13. So you can see how the image is getting those really nice, beautiful and vibrant colors. So we are going to pump up the exposure of this image like that. Then we're going to continue moving all the way down. So we want to add a little bit of clarity to around 6 for this image, and you're going to turn down the vibrance because the image looks way oversaturated for my liking. So I'm going to go with -14, and I'm also going to turn down the saturation a little bit to around -4. I think this looks fine to me. So don't worry if at all it is not looking all that nice and perfect. We are going to be handling all that. So after we have done those basic adjustments, we are just going to open the image right into Photoshop. So just come and click open. Yeah, click open. Don't click done, just come and click open. So when you click on open, it is going to open your image in Photoshop. So it's going to take like a few seconds depending on how fast your machine is, or how fast your computer is or your laptop. And when it gets done, it's going to open the Photoshop interface like this. So it has now opened the image into Photoshop. So this is the image we are going to be retouching. So first of all, remember, we have hopes of posting this image maybe on Instagram or Facebook, and majorly for Instagram, because usually I prefer posting on Instagram than Facebook. So we want first of all crop the image in a ratio that is going to be able to fill the whole screen on Instagram when we post the image. So in order to do that, look for your crop tool. So we have various options before we can crop the image. Or let's first of all crop the image. So you can hit C or click C on the keyboard for a shortcut of a crop tool, or just come and click on that. So when you click on that, you're going to get the crop ratio with these dotted lines around. So what you're going to do, you're going to click down and look for a crop ratio. So this is why you look for a crop ratio like that. So usually Instagram usually allows a crop ratio of 4 to 5 or 8 by 10. So look for that ratio and click on it. So when you click on it, you're going to have first of all crop that image in order to get the right dimension or crop settings for your image. So we're just going to crop the image so that we get more detail and emphasis onto the model. So after you have made the right decision about your cropping, yeah, then just come and hit enter on the keyboard. So when you hit enter, it is going to crop your image. So this is the image we are going to be retouching. So in order to zoom into your image, you can just simply click Ctrl plus on the keyboard. So hit the keys Ctrl plus on the keyboard to zoom in like that, and Ctrl minus to zoom out the image like that. I hope you guys are understanding. So what we're going to do right now, we're going to be learning about the tools we are going to be using for our skin retouching in Photoshop. So those tools are going to basically vary from one to another. So we're going to be using the healing brush tool. Yeah, we are also going to be using the spot healing brush tool. All these are under right here. So for removing the blemishes, then we're also going to be using the clone stamp tool, and we're also going to be using the mixer brush tool and the ordinary brush tool later on for our blending the skin tones and also dodging and burning. Then we're also going to be using the lasso tool. So this is the lasso tool. So basically those are the tools we are going to be using. So for this tutorial, since it is about skin retouching, we are going to be learning about high-end skin retouching. So by high-end skin retouching, I mean we are going to be making this image look really nice and professional at the end of the retouching process. So this is going to be really an enjoyable tutorial. So we want first of all learn about skin retouching. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using frequency separation. So basically, what is frequency separation? Frequency separation is a skin retouching technique that divides the image into two frequencies. By frequencies, I mean it divides this image into two. Yeah, the frequencies are two, so it divides the image into two. It's like when you have an apple and just slice it right in the middle. So when you join the two pieces, you're going to be able to get the apple as a whole. So basically that is what we're going to be doing for this tutorial. So what we are going to be doing, we are going to create those two frequencies. And in order to create those two frequencies, we are going to create them by clicking Ctrl or Command J on the keyboard twice. So this is Command J once, Command J twice, like that. So these are the layers we're going to be working with. Or the other option is you can just drag the background to this new layer icon to create a new layer. So these two layers in frequency separation are going to be divided into two. The very first layer, that is the topmost layer, is going to be containing our skin textures or the details. Then the middle layer, that is layer 1, is going to be containing the colors or the skin tones. Like on our skins, the textures are usually exposed, that's why we are going to have the texture layer on top. So let's just rename that in a bit. So you're just going to name that textures, like that, or we're going to name it high frequency, like this, and hit enter. So just double click right here, and we're going to name this color, or some people call it tones, or some people call it the low frequency, like that. Hit enter. So these are the two layers we're going to be working with for skin retouching. So we're going to be working with these layers so that we can work independently, yeah, so that we can get an overall or the best out of each and every layer. So you can see my mouse has turned into this cross icon, and that usually happens when you hit the caps lock key on the keyboard. So in order to get back the default or what this is meant to be, just undo or remove the caps lock key. So you're going to first of all deactivate this texture or high frequency layer and select or highlight the color or the tones of this image. So when you do that, after selecting those tones or the colors or the low frequency layer, you're going to blur out or remove the textures because we don't need them in this layer. We only want to remain with the colors, the tones in the low frequency layer. And in order to do that, you're just going to come right here to filter, like that. Then you're going to come to blur, and you're going to come to blur, and come to Gaussian blur, like that. So we are going to have this box pop up, and you shouldn't worry if at all it does pop up. So make sure you zoom out like that to a reasonable size. So we only want to see the area that may seem to have more skin textures than the rest of the model's skin. So we're going to be going with this particular area, or let's maybe go with the forehead of the model. So we want to remove these textures so that we can remain with the colors or the skin tones on this very layer. And in order to do that, you're going to move this slider right towards the right. So let me first show you something. So when you move it all the way towards the right hand side, like that, your image is going to turn into only almost invisible. So you shouldn't overdo that. So this is the right way to do that. Just move it slightly and patiently, like that. And when you do that, you'll notice these are going to start getting lost. Yeah, the textures or the details in the skin are going to start getting lost. So move that until they start disappearing from the image. Remember, for this first step, when these disappear, we are going to regain them back in the texture layer. So for whichever details you lose out in this layer, you're going to be able to regain them back in the texture layer, or when you've done your frequency separation or your skin retouching. So I think at 10 we have lost out on the details in the model's face. I hope you can see that. So just use the hand tool to move around and look if at all you have lost out on the details in the model's skin. So, and in order to see this, you make sure your preview is on or it is checked. So after you have done so, just come and click or hit OK or enter on the keyboard, like that, and it is going to apply the effect on this layer. So we're going to be doing the reverse, and select, this time around we are selecting the textures or high frequency layer. After you have selected it, come and click on this eye icon. So when you hit it, it is going to give back your image the way it is or the way it was. So after doing so, we want to subtract the textures. Remember, we removed the textures, but we don't know where our textures went, so we want to steal them from the color or skin tones layer. So we want to steal them from here and we put them into this layer. So we are going to subtract them from the color layer and we put them in the high frequency or textures layer. So in order to do that, you're going to come right here to image, yeah, and you're going to come right to apply image, like that. I know you may not be having this the way mine is looking. You may be having something looking like this. So we have now this little dialog box that has appeared. So right now we have source. So source contains the details of the image. You can see we have 1739 and we have 1739 right here. So that is going to be like the name of the image. Now remember, we want to subtract. You have to choose the layer that we are going to subtract the textures from. So in order to do that, click right here and choose the color layer. Remember, we are basically stealing the textures from the color layer. So we are subtracting the textures from the color layer. So if we still will be subtracting from someone or something, so come to the blending and change it from maybe normal and change it to subtract, like that. I know your image may not be looking like this, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to get it looking right. So make sure the opacity is 100. Make sure these tiny boxes, the two options, preserve transparency, is not checked or selected. And now make sure the mask is not selected. So make sure your preview is on and invert is not selected or checked. So make sure you put these two values, and I'm going to be explaining that in a bit. So the reason for these two values is because we want to get a 50% gray kind of layer that is going to be containing the textures in the image. So remember, we have the colors in the RGB at 256. So when you divide 256 by 2, that's why you have this value right here. Yeah, divide it by 2, you get 128. That's why we have these two values right here. And I know you have understood that. So I'm just going to come right here and I'm going to click OK to apply the settings. So you can see we don't have the image looking really right. It seems like something is now wrong about this very image. So we want to first of all get back the image looking right. So come right here to the blending and change it from normal and look for linear light. So you're just going to look for linear light. So this is linear light right here. So when you click linear light, you're going to get back the image the way it was looking initially before. Remember what I told you when I was starting this very tutorial? I told you guys your frequency separation layers shouldn't be different from the very image, because it should be like an exact copy between your background or your original image and your frequency. There should be more of twins or lookalikes. So we want to put these two in a group by hitting command and clicking on both command or control for Windows and hitting both layers and clicking Ctrl or Command G on the keyboard, or you can just drag the two layers right here to the folder icon and you'll have put them in a group. So we are going to rename this group for purposes of being uniform, frequency separation, like this, and hit enter like this. So if at all I turn this on and off, there is no difference between the original image and the background layer. So meaning we have successfully separated the frequencies of this very image. So what we want to do, we want to learn about skin retouching. Yeah, we want to learn about skin retouching. So basically, skin retouching is more of blending or evening out skin tones and maybe cleaning up the skin. So basically that is skin retouching according to me. So we want to open the frequency separation group by dropping this down. And now after we have dropped down that, we are going to select the textures layer. So I'm going to be explaining why we are selecting the textures layer. If at all you want to create a layer on top of, if at all you want to create a layer on top of any given layer in Photoshop, select the layer below which you want to create a new layer. So since we have selected or highlighted this textures layer, meaning we have to create a layer, we want to create a layer on top of this very layer. So come right here to the adjustments and select black and white. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys why we are selecting black and white. Since I explained before that skin tones are part of the image, we want to blend them. Since skin retouching embeds blending or having those nice skin tone transitions, we want to blend the unevenness in the skin tones. And in order to do that, we have just created this black and white layer. It is going to help us see every single area that seems to have those harsh transitions in the skin tones. And in order to do that, or see those uneven skin tone transitions, in order to see all those, you're going to come right to the reds and you're going to knock that down like this. So when you knock it down, you can notice we have some harsh transitions in the skin tones. I hope you can see all this. So we're going to close this by hitting those two arrows, then come and select the color or tones layer like that. So I'm going to be sharing with you guys the mixer brush tool, and it is the tool we are going to be using to blend the skin tones and have them really looking nice and have beautiful and nice skin tone transitions. So in order to do that, you're going to come under brushes, right click and look for the mixer brush tool. And if at all you don't have it under brushes, you're just going to look for it in any of these other options. So look for your mixer brush tool, or the shortcut is going to be a B, like letter B for ball, for the mixer brush tool. So after you have selected the mixer brush tool, we now want to get the mixer brush tool to do for us the best from the image. So as you can see, my mixer brush tool is showing a cross. I hope you guys are seeing this. So when I turn off the caps lock, I'll be getting back my mixer brush tool. So when you turn the caps on, you get that cross like icon. So to fix that, remove or deactivate the caps lock. So we want to get the mixer brush tool to have the best and right settings for our skin retouching, and in order to do so, you're just going to come right here. So this is where you set up your mixer brush tool in order to blend the skin tones really well. So you're just going to paint to blend the skin tones. So here is where you have to pay close and maximum attention. Yeah, let me hope I have your attention right now. Okay, let me pause a bit. Do I have your attention? Okay, yes I do. So come right here and make sure you select clean brush. Let me repeat this. Click this drop down and select clean brush, because we want to start blending the skin tones when the brush is clean. So we have these two options right here. So you may have all these two highlighted, but what I want of you is you have to only select or highlight this second option. So it is more of a brush with a stroke. Yeah. So the reason for this, selecting this, is because we want Photoshop to automatically clean for us. We want Photoshop to automatically clean the mixer brush for us when we are trying to blend the skin tones of our images. So that's why we have selected this very option. Then we have this wetness option. So make sure you choose a wetness of between 5 to 8 or 5 to 9, because we want to retain as much natural skin textures in the image as possible. So make sure you use a load of 75, because we want a kind of moderate load of paint on the brush. So make sure you get the mix of 90%, because we want to blend this almost really nice and more perfectly, and you want full color or color to flow through the mixer brush tool at 100%. So basically these are the settings for your mixer brush tool. So right now we are going to be handling this option right here. So if at all you select this option and check it, you're going to be sampling from all layers. Remember, if at all you paint right here, it is going to sample from the texture layer, and you're going to be having bad skin details or skin tones in your images, and you wouldn't want that. Remember, we only want to blend the skin tones in the low frequency layer or the color layer. So make sure you don't select or check this layer. So we are done setting up our mixer brush tool in order to start our skin retouching process in Photoshop. So we are going to first of all zoom into our image, and in order to zoom in your image, you're going to hit Ctrl plus or Command plus for people who use Mac. So we want to get a reasonable zoom so that we can blend particular areas quite well. Don't over zoom into your image. I think this zoom is kind of reasonable enough. So you're just going to start painting or blending those skin tones. So remember, we are on our tones or low frequency layer. So this is our mixer brush tool. You can see it is really quite big, so you have to get a reasonable brush for a particular area. So we want to first of all reduce on the brush size. So in order to reduce on the size of the mixer brush tool, we're going to be using the left bracket on the keyboard to reduce on the size, and the right bracket is going to increase on the size of the mixer brush tool. So let's first of all reduce on that size like that. So I think this size is reasonable enough for me. So remember, when you're blending, make sure you blend the midtones alone, the highlights alone, and the shadows alone, because we don't want to drag maybe tones from the shadows to the highlights, and it is going to end up distorting on the original shape of our model's face. So we wouldn't want that. So let's start blending. So let's blend this area. So make sure you're on your color or tones layer or low frequency layer, and just come and paint over those areas like that. So just come and paint over like this. I hope you guys are understanding everything I'm saying, because I want you guys to understand each and everything about skin retouching, because you're not going to find this information anywhere, and no one is going to explain this quite well, and no one is going to have enough time for you like I have for you in this very tutorial. So after we have just blended that, we want to see what we have just done using a few strokes of a mixer brush tool. So turn this off by hitting the eye icon, and let's see the before and after for frequency separation. So that's the before after. You can see what we have just done for blending the skin tones in this image. So turn this back on and make sure you're selected on the tones layer, and just continue. You can see I'm blending this highlight alone. So we have this transition between the midtones and the highlights, and just blending it alone. Then we have this shadow right here. I'm just going to come right slightly. I'm just going to blend that too, like this. I hope you guys are understanding each and everything. So just do that for the rest of the image basically. So you shouldn't worry if at all you skip out on particular areas, because I'm going to be sharing with you guys another method that you're going to be using in conjunction or a combination of a mixer brush tool and that very method to achieve the best out of your retouching. So you're just going to come on the cheek area, increase on the size, and you're just going to blend that area like that. So make sure you don't over mix on a particular area, because you're going to be doubling the wetness effect, and for that area, if at all we painted here twice, it is going to be a wetness of 18, and you're going to be losing out on the naturalness in the skin textures, and you wouldn't want that anyway. So let's just blend these skin tones like that. You can see I'm trying as much to blend the midtones alone, the highlights and the shadows alone, and I just don't want to blend or drag from a particular area to another. So I think that is fine. So let's continue blending all the areas on the model's face. So let's take this. You can see we have this shadow. I'm just going to blend it alone and come all the way towards this side, then blend this shadow alone like that. So I'm going to come to this highlight and I'm just going to blend it slightly. So come and just blend right here. So let's see the progress. You have to keep on checking on your progress when you're retouching. So turn this off. So that's the before, after. There's no much difference, and like I said, you can as well work without the use of this black and white layer. So let's continue blending other areas of the model's face, because I would just want to get the best out of this very image. So let's do this. I just hope you guys are just understanding each and everything from this tutorial, and if at all you're loving this, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on this channel, and you're going to be motivating me to keep on dropping more and more educative content for you guys on my channel. So just don't forget to subscribe. So let's continue blending other areas. So if at all you feel like you're done blending the face of a model, you can just come to these areas. I know most retouchers tend to forget these areas. I don't know if it is really deliberate, but just don't be a reckless retoucher. Just make sure you leave no area of the skin untouched, because we are going to judge you from the overall image and not only the face. So you just don't want to make it seem like the face was just attached onto a given body of a model. So just make sure everything is really nice and even enough. I hope I'm really making sense to you guys. I think I should invest in a retouching tablet quite soon, because I know you guys must be wondering how I do this with just my laptop and no tablet. So you're just basically blending the other areas using a mixer brush tool, and you can see I'm really being careful while doing the blending on these areas. So just do that for the rest of the image, and you'll have the best out of your retouched images. So let's do this. So just a blend like that. It is really nice and enjoyable when you do practice your skin retouching over and over. You'll notice that these things that really look difficult they are just going to be more at your fingertips, and you can just wake up and you retouch an image without following anything or watching anything anywhere. So everything may be off head if at all you practice, and everything is going to be part of you if at all you practice. So let's reduce on the size because we want to blend the fingers right here. So basically we're just blending the skin tones like that using a mixer brush tool. Yeah, like as usual, I don't usually love forwarding anything because I want you guys to follow along and understand each and every step that was followed. So let's turn this off and you see what we have so far for this image. So that's the before after. I hope you guys can see the difference it has just made onto this image. So that is the power of using the mixer brush tool. So right now what we are going to do, you're just going to delete the black and white layer by dragging it to, selecting it and dragging it to the trash can icon. And here I'm going to share with you guys the very second method that I'm going to be using for perfecting the skin retouching process. Remember, we have been using the first method, that is using the mixer brush tool. Now I'm going to be sharing with you guys the second method, that is using the Lasso tool in Photoshop. I know some people prefer to use frequency separation using the Lasso tool method, and other people prefer using the mixer brush tool, and that will be all, but I prefer to combine both methods. So make sure you're still selected on the low frequency layer. Get your Lasso tool, make sure you change the feathering to 23 pixels, and alias is checked because the reason as why we select 23 pixels, you have to be between 23 and 25. We want to get refined edges out of the selection of the area we are going to be retouching. So let's zoom in. So now you have to over zoom in because we want to target particular areas of the skin. So make sure you get a reasonable zoom. I think this is fine for me. So we are going to make a selection like that on only and only, I repeat, you're just going to make a selection and only the skin of the model like this, like that. So after you have made that selection, I hope you guys can see the selection. It has been according to a particular area. So for the forehead, we just had to just knock it a little bit in between the nose highlight like that. So we're going to come right to filter, come to blur, and come to Gaussian blur like this. So we want to move this slider. So let's zoom out after selecting the skin area. Zoom out. So we want to move this until we get the perfect skin texture for the image. So we're just going to move this towards the right until we feel like we are getting the perfect skin texture for the image. So we're just going to move. I think we are almost there. I think at around, I'm just going to put 30. At around 30 we have the best skin texture. I feel 30 is enough for me, because I feel that is enough. So you can just deselect by clicking off the selection. So you're just going to apply the effect on the rest of the model's skin. So you're just going to come right here, make a selection like that. So right click and click on Gaussian blur. And if at all you feel a given effect is too much for your liking, simply click Shift Command or Shift Control F on the keyboard to reduce on the effect like that, and hit OK. So come, select, right click, apply the Gaussian blur. If at all you feel it is too much, that is only when you have to fade or reduce on a particular effect on that given area. So I'm just basically, I think that is fine. So let's apply it right here. Right click, apply Gaussian blur. So basically we just are fine tuning those areas we may have missed out when we are using the mixer brush tool to blend the skin tone. So we're just going to come right here. So I know some retouchers tend to select the whole nose area as a whole and apply the Gaussian blur. Remember, when you do so, you're going to flatten or lose out on the beautiful dimension of the nose. So make sure you make shapes according to how light is falling on a particular area. So right click and click on Gaussian blur, like that. I think this really looks fine. Yeah, this looks fine and beautiful. So we are just going to apply it on the rest of the model's skin. But remember, since these areas have less textures, we are just going to reduce on the opacity of that very effect. So shift Control F or Shift Command F to reduce on the effect of the Gaussian blur on a particular area, because if at all it is too much, that area is going to look a kind of plastic and wouldn't want that for our images. So come and apply it right there. So I think that is too much. So I'm just going to reduce on the opacity by clicking Shift Command F, Shift Control F to reduce on the effect of that particular area. So I think this is fine and looks okay to me. So let's just apply it right on this arm. Yeah, this is really doing magic, and I just urge you guys to be or keep on doing practice after watching and learning from this tutorial, because practice is basically going to make perfect at the end of the day. So let's see what we have done for the skin retouching so far. So let's first of all apply our beautiful Gaussian blur to this area. So let's see what we have done so far for the skin retouching. So this is the image before, after, before, after. You can see what we have just done for just skin retouching. And now we are going to be learning about how to remove blemishes from your images. Yeah, we are going to remove blemishes from our images, and in order to remove blemishes, we first of all have to select the layer that is going to be containing the blemishes of this very image. So come right here and click the texture layer, because blemishes are part of skin textures. So we are going to be using various tools right here, but for this tutorial I'm going to first show you guys the spot healing brush tool. So zoom in, because blemishes really have to be seen in order to be removed. I think this is a reasonable zoom. So in order to zoom, hit Command plus on the keyboard. So with the spot healing brush tool selected, you can either decrease or increase on the size by using the left. Sorry, I'm going first of all undo that. So in order to zoom into your image, you can hit Control plus or Command plus on the keyboard. So after selecting your spot healing brush tool, make sure you deactivate this, because you only want to work on the texture layer. And after doing so, just come and you have to make a size of the spot healing brush tool slightly bigger than the blemish you're trying to remove. So just click on the blemish and it will be gone, like that. Like that. So let's try to remove the blemishes. So Photoshop is automatically selecting for us and removing for us blemishes from the model's area. So we're just clicking over the blemishes to clean them up or remove them from the model's skin. So let's do that quick. And now this is the spot healing brush tool. So I want to share with you guys the very second tool for removing pimples or blemishes from the model's skin, and this is going to be the clone stamp tool. How the clone stamp tool works: make sure everything is at 100% and sampling is on the current layer, only the current layer, that is going to be our texture layer. And now we are going to first of all hold down the alternate button or the alternate key on the keyboard, click on a clean area close to the blemish and paint over the blemish, like that. like that. I hope I'm making sense. So you're just basically clicking on a clean area close to the blemish and painting over the blemish to get rid of it. I hope that is really fine. So let me get back to my spot healing brush tool to quicken the blemish removal process. Remember, blemish removal contributes over 75% to your overall skin retouching process. So you have to make sure you take your time while cleaning up or removing blemishes from your images during your skin retouching process. I think that is fine for the face. You can as well clean up the hair and everything. So let's move down and we clean up the chest too, because it is part of the image anyway. So let's just clean up particular areas that seem to have the blemishes. So just clean up like this. Paint over the blemishes. I hope that is fine. So let's see the before and after for the image so far. So that was the image initially before and after, before, after. So you have learned about how to create your frequency separation groups, how to use the mixer brush tool, and how to use the lasso tool method. And we are now done with the how to remove pimples or blemishes from your images in Photoshop. So what we are going to be doing right now is trying to match the skin tones of this face to the lower part of the body. So you're just going to close this group, and before we can even close this group, let's first of all click on this color or skin tones layer and just come and hit the create new layer icon like that. So if at all we get the normal brush tool, right click and get the brush tool. We're going to be using a flow of 4% and opacity 100%, and we're just going to sample from the cleanest area or the area we feel we should copy color from on the model's face. So you can, after you have done so, just come and hold down the alternate key on the keyboard to sample. Yeah, make a sample of a given color we feel should correspond with the rest of the model's skin. So after you have made your sample, increase on the size and just come and start painting like that. Just paint to brighten up particular areas. So I hope you guys are learning something. You can see we are just now trying to brighten up all areas and evening out the skin tones of our model right here. So I think this is fine. Don't mind if at all it is turning out to look really unrealistic. So you can see the before and after. You can see what we have just done. So let me try to zoom out for you, Control minus. So let's see a before and after. So that's the before, after, before, after. And if at all you feel you have gone way overboard with that, so you're just going to come to the opacity and you're just going to turn down or reduce on the opacity of that particular area like that. So you're just going to see the before, after overall. I hope that looks really fine to me. So we want to, right now, we want to do a little bit of dodging and burning. So what is dodging and burning? Dodging and burning is basically enhancing the highlights and the shadows of a particular image. So we're going to be enhancing those highlights and the shadows in the image in order to give it shape or dimension. So we're going to come right here and you're going to come to curves. So make a midpoint and drag up to brighten up like that. So after you're done, make sure this mask is selected. click Ctrl or Command I to invert or hide that effect. So we are going to rename that into dodge. So remember, when you're dodging, we dodge or brighten the highlights, and when we are burning, we burn or darken the highlights. So we are going to come right back and do the opposite. So make a midpoint and we are going to darken like that. Make sure this is selected, click Ctrl or Command I on the keyboard to hide that effect, and we are going to name this burn like that. So we are going to put these two in a group by selecting both of them, and we are going to drag them to the group icon, and we are going to name that dodge and burn like this. Dodge and burn like that. So hit enter. So we are going to open this group, and we are going to create a black and white layer on top of the burn layer by coming right back and clicking black and white. So we are going to darken again, because darkening is part of us, joking anyway. So I'm going to turn off the caps lock, because I turned it on when I was doing the dodging and burning. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to now start by turning off the frequency separation. Remember, when you're doing frequency separation, most of the times it tends to flatten the image. So we are going to turn off the frequency separation group. Then first of all, select the burn layer, get the normal brush tool. We're going to be using an opacity of 8%, and the flow, you're going to be using a flow of 100%. So we don't want the smoothing anyway, so we're just going to zoom in slightly to a particular area like that. So make sure you don't over zoom in when you're going to do your dodging and burning. So you're just going to start burning. Remember, burning, we burn the shadows. So you're just going to burn the shadows in the image like that. So burn there. So we are going to come right towards this side, increase on the size by using the brackets on the keyboard. Burn there, and you're just going to burn there too to bring back shape dimension. Then we are just going to burn there. So remember, when you're doing all this, make sure it is white on top. Make sure white is on top, like this on these two boxes. Make sure white is on top. And if at all you don't have white, make sure you reset by clicking on these two boxes, the small ones. And to get white on top, click on the arrows. So we are using a white brush to darken or burn particular areas. So you're just going now to dodge the highlights. So you're just going to dodge below the chin. You're just going to dodge right there, dodge here, and you're going to enhance or dodge the nose bridge like that. So what you're going to be doing, you're going to zoom out a little bit, and you're just going to dodge right here, then come and dodge. So you're just going to dodge right here on these dark parts to enhance them or brighten them up a little bit more. So you're just going to turn the frequency separation group on, and you're going to delete the black and white layer like that. So that's the before, after, before, after. I hope you can see the difference we have just made using the dodging and burning for this very image. So what we are going to be doing right now, we are going to now do our eye and teeth whitening in Photoshop. And before we can do that, let's do some little bit of color grading. So let's color grade the image. So you're just going to come right here and click on selective color. So you want to intensify the blacks in the image. So you're just going to turn the blacks up like that. And you're going to come to the yellows and turn it down, because I want this image to look kind of cinematic. So I'm just going to go for those blue tones and some blue tones in the model's hair. So I'm going to come to the reds, and we are going to now turn down the yellows in the image like that. And you're also going to turn down the magentas too. And you're also going to, let's see, the cyans, and you're just going to turn them up to around 6. Then you're going to come to the yellows and you're going to knock down the yellows. Yeah, we're just going to turn down the yellows. I think this looks fine to me now. It is really getting to be a beautiful image. So what we're going to do, we're going to now create a stamp visible layer. So what is a stamp visible layer? It is going to be more of a screenshot of all we have done. So this is the before color grading, after, before, after. So I feel the image is really some a little bit warm. So let's first of all cool it. So we're going to come to the photo filter and we're going to come to cooling filter 82 and you're just going to cool down this image. I think this looks fine to me. So I'm going to go with around 5 for this portrait. So we are going to first of all create a stamp visible layer. So let's put the color grading into a group by clicking Ctrl or Command G. Then you're going to name this color grade, like that, color grade. So this is the image before color grading and after, before, after. So you're going to be doing the eye and teeth whitening. So in order to do that, you're going to create a stamp visible layer for everything we have done so far by coming right and clicking Shift, Alternate, Command E on the keyboard, or Shift, Alternate, Control E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer. And it's going to take a few minutes to load, and yeah, I think it is done. So come and hit Ctrl or Command J on the keyboard to duplicate that layer. So we're going to come to filter and we're going to come to camera raw filter. So here we're going to be using the adjustment brush tool in order to whiten the eyes and teeth of the model. So we're going to zoom into the eyes by getting the zoom tool and just hitting on the eye area. So you're just going to get the hand tool and hit Command minus to zoom out slightly. So you're going to get the adjustment brush tool, or you can just click on the keyboard to get it. So in order to set this adjustment brush tool, we are going to, first of all, since we have yellows in the eyes of the model, we are going to come under temperatures and we are going to turn the temperatures slightly to around -20. Then we want some little bit of tint and we are going to put that to around 60% or 59, or for whichever case. Then we are going to go in for a highlights of, because we want to brighten the eyes up, we're going to go with 5, and the whites we are going to go for 5. Then we are going to go all the way down to saturation. Remember, we have color in the eyes of the model. We're going to turn it down to around -71. So we're just going to paint over the eyes of the model, only the white area, sorry, only and only the white area of the model's eyes. So just come and just paint over only the white area to whiten up the eyes of the model and give them that beautiful and more. Make sure you only paint over the white area, because as you can see right now, I just painted over the skin and it has desaturated the skin because the saturation was taken all the way down, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to click Command Z or Control Z on the keyboard to undo that, and I'm just going to repaint on the white area of the eye. So you have to really be careful while doing this, and if at all you feel you want to do a little bit more adjustments with the temperatures, you can just come and knock them down slightly. So we are done with the eyes. So let's come right down to the model's teeth, and we can as well zoom into the teeth, and by hitting Command plus to zoom like that. I think that's too much, or Control plus. So let's paint over the teeth to whiten them up. So we are just whitening the teeth and not the gums. That's why we want to paint over each and every individual tooth alone or separate, because we don't want to whiten even the gums or the lips of the model. We have to really be careful while doing the eye and teeth whitening. We don't want unnatural kind of looks onto the images we do retouch. I've seen some images and they really have blue teeth, and no one really has blue teeth unless you want to be Bluetooth. That's a nice one. So I'm just going to hit Command minus, and this is what we have. That is what we do have right now. And if at all you feel it is not enough for you, you can just continue knocking down on that. I think that looks fine to me. So come and hit OK on the keyboard, and it is going to apply the effects onto the image. And if at all you feel it is too much, it is the reason that's why we created a background copy of the screenshot we had created. So that's the before after. I feel this image is enough. So let's see what we have basically done for this tutorial. We have, first of all, we did the frequency separation using a Mr. Bash tool and the Lasso tool method. Then we did the dodging and burning to add shape or dimension onto the model's face. Then we did the color grading. You can see the before and after. Then we created the stamp visible layer by hitting Shift Alternate Command E or Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard, and we did the eye and teeth whitening. And if at all you love this tutorial, don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe this channel. If at all you have watched and haven't subscribed this channel, I'm Ronnix from Ronnix Photography. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in yet another retouching tutorial. And before I can go off, let me show you guys the before and after. So this was the image before after, and I would like to thank you all for watching, and don't forget to practice and you'll be a great photographer and retoucher out there. Till next time.